Ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so very much for accepting the invitation to this media conference to clarify a few issues. Joining me is Mrs. Lorraine Bouchette, who was the immediate past deputy political leader of the Congress of the People, who has also acted as the political leader of the Congress of the People at time. So I would make a prepared statement, I would read a prepared statement, and then I will segue to Ms. Bouchette, who would share a little bit of information that may be of interest to clarify matters. So, further to the media statements made by the chairman of the COP, Mr. Jameson Bahadur, who claimed that some officials were purported to be going against its constitution when I applied to rejoin the COP in January of this year, and who further publicly stated that I was found to be ineligible as a member of the COP, I am now publicly forced to respond. To be very honest, I am quite shocked that while I have effectively been prevented from returning to that party by the machinations of Mr. Bahadur and others, and only a few days from their political leader election, I continue to be the subject of Mr. Bahadur's public utterances. From all general statements and utterances, there is a degree of perception that there was a level of conspiracy with 3 officers of the COP to backdate my membership, and that for the purpose of allowing me to run for the leadership post. Let me put the following on the record. 1. I am a what has happened since has proven this to be true. 1. On October the 8th, a meeting of the National Council lacking the required quorum or number of persons to make it legitimate, as set out in Article 14.4 of the COP Constitution, changed the election date to the 19th of November 2017. That same meeting, contrary to the COP Constitution, it was decided or reported by the chairman that the National Executive set up a screening committee to again decide my membership and that of the other 34 applicants decided in January. There is no article in the COP Constitution for such a screening committee to interview applicants for membership. This same unconstitutional meeting also accepted that and/or the so-called screening committee requested from me a letter of my resignation from the AOI and a letter of acceptance of my resignation from the AOI. I absolutely refuse to submit any such letters for the following reasons. 1. That there is no article in the COP Constitution, nor any policy or procedure of the COP that required or requires any returning member to the COP to submit such letters or face such a screening committee. In March of 2017, I voluntarily submitted a copy of my resignation letter to the coordinator of the AOI to the COP. In documents filed in the court matter on my behalf, the same resignation letter was also filed and also served on all parties. My resignation letter was in the possession of the COP and lawyers representing Mr. Bahadur for months, and there was no need to submit it again. The same October the 8th unconstitutional National Council meeting either decided or accepted a report that my membership in the COP could not be granted. Like many citizens, I am increasingly concerned about the leadership vacuum that has developed in the landscape of our national politics, and as such, I decided to return to the COP. Sadly, the COP is not what it was in 2006 or even in 2010. Mr. Bahadur, who accuses me of violating the Constitution when I absolutely could not do so, turns a blind eye to the following. The COP has not held its annual National Assembly required by Article 15 of its Constitution since 2012. Its National Council has not had a constitutional quorum, contrary to Article 14.4 of its Constitution, for almost 8 years. The National Executive who is now claiming to be in office 1 year after its 2014 to 2016 2-year term ended, as set out in Article 16.3 of its Constitution. not a single constituency has held its annual constituency conference and executive elections since 2013, contrary to Article 7.2 of its constitution. Neither the Youth Congress nor the Women's Forum has held elections 1 year after their term of office has ended, contrary to its constitution. Who then are the delegates of all of these bodies on the National Council of the COP? 3 national executive meetings chaired as mandated by the court order to discuss the membership matters failed to garner a quorum, meaning the number of persons eligible to make decisions. Hence, based on the same constitution, no decision could have been made pertaining to membership matters or convening meetings of other arms of the party. In lieu of this, interim national executive members were appointed at this illegitimately constituted National Council meeting to discuss the membership matter, which was in direct contrast to the court order. And quite frankly, instead of fighting to keep members out of the COP, Mr. Bahadur should have spent his time constructively ensuring that all bodies of the COP were organized and held their elections according to the Constitution. He could have more usefully spent his time building the COP and its membership and not trying to keep me and others out. Now, further, after receiving a welcome letter from the COP, as is the custom for new members, a copy of which I have in front of me here, and this was dated the 17th of February 27, a copy of said welcome letter dated 17th of February was disclosed to Mr. Bahadur. I also received a new party card, which I showed you from the head office, and my name was placed on the official COP list of members. Therefore, to remove me effectively means that I have been expelled. Upon this basis, a legally binding contract was formed between the party and myself on 2 occasions, because it was based on the acceptance of my membership with this card and letter and so on. I then went ahead and registered to be part of the leadership elections, having paid my fees to be considered of $2,500, which is still in the possession of the COP, having received a receipt of those fees, which I have in front of me, and having been scrutinized and approved to run in not 1, but 2 political leader elections. It is upon that basis, as I mentioned, a legally binding contract was formed between the party and myself, having a legitimate expectation to the rights of all members, including contesting the position for political leader. I will not, like others, explore the option of seeking injunctive relief, because I firmly believe that the democratic process must be allowed to continue with or without me, so that I will not try to stop the election. However, I'm a chairman of the Congress of the People, and I was a member since 2006. I am therefore very well acquainted with the COP Constitution. 2. On January 3rd, 2017, I handed in a completed COP membership application form, together with the required application fees, which is still in the possession of the Congress of the People, to a deputy political leader of the party. 2 other members of the COP and the AOI also applied at the same time with me. 3. Article 4A of the COP Constitution required only that I complete an application form and pay the application fee to become a financial member. I did that in January of 2017, this year. I learned via a general membership meeting and through legal proceedings in which my renewed membership was challenged that my application was approved at a meeting not of 3, but of 4 of the officers of the COP who were actually functioning on the 13th of February 2017. My application was approved along with 34 others at that meeting. In March of 2017, I attended an interview with party officers. At that time, I voluntarily gave them a copy of my letter of resignation from the AOI, addressed to the coordinator of the AOI. A few days later, I received my membership card, which I have right here with me, and a copy of the Constitution of the COP, according to Article 4C of the COP Constitution, the copy of the Constitution. The date of the political leader election was decided by a general membership meeting on May the 21st, 2017. When I applied to rejoin the COP in January, I was not aware, and in fact there was no date decided for the political leader election or any other election in the COP. All I did was apply to be readmitted as a member, and like anyone else who completes a COP application form, I had absolutely no role in deciding whether my membership would be approved and from what date. That was a matter for the COP and its officers, and not for me as an applicant. It is extremely disingenuous and ludicrous even for anyone to suggest that not being a member and not being involved in the decision-making processes of the COP at that time, that I could somehow violate the party's constitution. I played no part in deciding the date of the political leader election, which was fixed in May as July 9th. I merely exercised my right as a member to contest the election. From the time some elements in the COP began legal action to challenge my membership and my being a candidate for the post of political leader, I made it abundantly clear in my public statements that this was all in an attempt to prevent me from contesting the COP election.